On today's show, Laura Heywood interviews.
Currently starring on Broadway in Ain't Too Proud, The Life and Times of the Temptations, Mr. Jawan M. Jackson. Welcome to Laura Heywood Interviews. I'm Laura Heywood. Melvin Franklin was one of the original and longest-lasting members of the Temptations. From the group's founding in 1965 to Melvin's death in 1995, he never left the group, and his impact has never left the world of music. As one of the most recognizable voices in the Motown family, or truly in any music of the time, Melvin had a voice so deep it made the walls vibrate. Finding a voice that could recreate this legend for the stage was no easy feat, but that voice was found attached to a brilliant actor, a handsome face, and a budding dancer who proved easy to teach those signature Temptations moves. Today, my guest is Jawan M. Jackson, currently romancing Broadway with his signature Melvin Franklin-esque bass tones. This is the second Broadway show in which he's played this same man, the first being a 2.5-year run in Motown the musical, where the Temps were just one of a whole slew of featured groups. This time we get to experience their deep backstory, and through Jawan's smooth and captivating performance, we watch Melvin grow from a timid teenager to a persistent veteran who insists on remaining with the Temptations despite the debilitating pain that comes with age. There's a lot of focus put on Jawan M. Jackson's voice because it's so low and so unique and, dare I say, so sexy. But there's so much more to this performer, this man, this human being than just the voice. Yes, we'll get a history of that voice, but we'll also get, forgive me, deeper into how he got this principal role on Broadway without having an agent, the despondence that can follow having all of one's dreams come true at once, and how Jawan pushed past that to create and pursue new dreams, what inspires him to get up in the morning, and how helping others pursue their own dreams has become a critical part of this man's purpose. Please join me in welcoming to Laura Heywood Interviews, Mr. Jawan M. Jackson.
Oh, my God. That was the best introduction I think I've ever received. Thank you so much.
I work very hard on my intros.
Listen, I can tell. You keep on.
You want me to read it again?
Please, just send it to me in an email copy. I'll take it. I'm going to hang it up on my wall. I love that.
Well, look, I've got a printed out copy for you right here.
I'll take it.
I really was struck in doing research for your visit and how much everybody just wants to talk about your voice.
That's all they want to do.
And no shade to other interviewers, your voice is remarkable.
Oh, thank you.
But I think anyone who's known for one feature, or is sort of branded by one, I guess feature is the word I'm looking for again. Mm-hmm. I feel like so much gets lost.
It does.
You know?
It does. It's one of those things. It's like you're only the voice. Mm-hmm. You don't do anything else, and and I think I'm doing a good job of showing people that I'm very versatile,
yeah.
and not just a voice. So, hopefully that leads to other things and greater experiences and greater opportunities. So I'm excited about it.
Well, you became an actor. You were a radio personality, and you did some voiceover.
Yes.
And I've heard you say that you hope there's a little voiceover in your future in the form of cartoons, which
I
think would be amazing.
Want to be a cartoon so
I want to
bad.
see you play something that you would expect to have a super squeaky voice, like a little mouse, and have you be like, "What's up?
What's up? How y'all doing?" Or I've been working on my animation voices. I'm like, I don't know what quite I want to do, trying to figure it out. And now all my agents, my voiceover agents, commercial agents, they've been sending me out, and so I've been getting to have a lot of fun with that. So.
Well, can you give me an example? I'm doing exactly what I didn't want to do, which is just be like, can you say something in your voice? I'll tell you what, I'll do my old radio voiceover voice for you if you'll do one for me.
Okay.
Mine was 99.9 KJOY. And then light rock with less talk. And then I also did hip hop radio where they thought the name Laura Heywood was too white. So they called me Lori Z instead.
Oh, not Lori Z.
And I don't even remember the call letters of that one. Lori Z felt okay to me because I didn't think that, they didn't actually say too white. They were just like, pick something that's more of a nickname, But there was a radio station that wanted me to call myself Laura Garcia to appeal to the Hispanic audience.
Okay.
And I was like, no, if you want a Hispanic host, go hire one.
Yeah, but Laura is already a racially ambiguous name anyway, so you could have just went with just Laura.
I guess, yeah. But I'm not interested in being racially ambiguous. I'm as white as you can get. And if they want someone who is, more has a broader racial appeal, whatever that means, than like give a job to somebody who
Yeah.
doesn't already have all this privilege in their back pocket.
Absolutely. And I also think that, with radio, we kind of get the opportunity to do be whatever we want and be whoever we want to be, because you only get to hear our voices, and so I think that's the joy in that. And like, I always was like, if I had a career to choose one, I would do like voiceovers, radio, and everything, and succeed in that, because I can walk down the street as a normal person and nobody know who I am.
I always
but you've
say,
been growing up listening to me. You've been growing up. You've watched something that I've
yeah,
done.
and you get fan letters, and like people love you, and
Yeah.
you're part of their community.
Standing next to $1 billion, don't even know it.
It
Look
is
at
the
that.
best kind of fame to have. And I use the word fame with big air quotes, because I'm not famous, but I have been in a situation where maybe once a month I'll get recognized on the street, and it feels amazing when it happens once a month.
Yeah.
But you don't
Absolutely.
necessarily want to get mobbed every time you leave your house.
You do not. That's why I stay home.
Have you become really recognizable from this role?
I would say no, but my friends and everybody else will say yes, because like we'll be out for dinner, and then like I can see the people coming out the corner of my eye or like staring. And one time I thought, I was with a group of people, and they were, I think my friends are attractive, and so I was like, look at them looking at y'all, like look at them. And so they ran out, and we were like halfway down the street, and they ran out. It's like, excuse me. And we turned around, and I was like, oh, they about to, like talk to them. It's just like, are you Jawan Jackson? I was like, yes.
You were like Jawan M. Jackson.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Jawan M. Jackson
You
is
always
very
know
important.
when there's a middle initial in a performer's professional name that somebody got to the union first.
Exactly.
Like Stephanie J. Block. There's some other actress out there named Stephanie Block who wishes
and
she
is
had
not
that Tony.
using it. Or
Well, maybe they are using it, and we just haven't.
That is true.
We don't know.
That is true too. That is true. Or like I tried to get my website, and then somebody had already bought the
domain. Were they using it?
No.
They're probably trying to sell it to you.
Exactly. I'm like, no, you can keep it. I'll figure out something else.
And
like,
I know your Twitter is Jawan Jackson 4.
Yeah. So with
there
that,
were 3 other ones.
there was another Jawan Jackson. So that's an interesting story too. So I tried to get my name, and it wasn't available. And so I forget the lady from Instagram. She came and saw the show, and she DM'd me. It was like, would you like your name? I'm like, I would love my name, but it wasn't available when I tried to get it. And then like probably like 5 minutes later, that thing was changed to Jawan Jackson. I was like, I don't know who she did kicked off Instagram or what, but I'm like, thank you to the powers that be.
Well, you need to find that person at Twitter, because I looked at the Jawan Jackson handle and nobody's using it. I mean, it's reserved. Somebody has it, but there's no picture. It hasn't been posted to it since 2011.
So I'm going to have to look into that.
Do you have an agent now? Because
I do.
Because, okay, listen, you guys. The story of how Jawan got this role on Broadway, you'd think that having played one of the Temptations in Motown the musical for 2.5 years would lead one to get an agent.
Please.
Or to have an agent.
Please.
Did you have an agent when you got that part?
No, so
How
that's the
in the
interesting.
world
I had an agent for this role. I didn't have one for Motown.
Oh, got it. Okay.
So it was the reverse.
I have to say, like, listening to the stories about your, like, the last 5 years of your life, there's so much crossover between the fact that both characters were Melvin, that Motown is the title of one show, but the topic of a different show.
Listen.
So I apologize to you and to everyone listening for those points of confusion.
It's okay.
One of my favorite things about doing this show live is that I never pretend to be perfect, and I just kind of let it all hang out, warts and all. I don't edit it. If I accidentally hit a sound effect or stumble over my words, we don't redo
That's
it.
what we real here.
Yeah. Like, nobody's perfect, and I think one of the most dangerous things in the age of social media is, face tuning and, all this, and not to mention just content curation that can make people's lives seem perfect when they're far from it. And if it's as much as me just stumbling over my words and being like, yup, I'm a professional radio host and I still stumble over my words, maybe that gives somebody else a little freedom to feel a little more comfortable in their own skin. See, there I go, stumbling over my words again.
It definitely does. And you know what? But to add to that, I had a about the Instagram thing, about like, making sure the pictures and the content that you put out there is great. Because I did an interview a couple of weeks ago, and then it aired on New York Live this week. and this past week, and they went deep down in my Instagram.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, ooh, I'm so glad I liked that picture before. I'm like, so that's making me a little bit more aware about like the content I'm putting out.
Yeah.
Because I was like, they would have picked the ugly picture. I'm like, why would they pick that picture?
So
but I'm the one who put it out there.
They just found one from like years ago?
They went down deep down from like Motown days, from when I was at Temptation there, and then they got some few like glamour shots from my Instagram page. And
they weren't just like, hey, your publicist, can you like send me a headshot?
Listen, I mean, no, well, I guess they wanted to show that I was, a very handsome man and I can model. Listen, I'm trying to get these modeling jobs too.
Look, I mean, I haven't seen you with your shirt off, but your arms look pretty good.
I've been in the gym. I'm trying to get this fall body for my vacation. So
I can imagine that it's hard to find time to work out when you're basically dancing for 2.5 hours a day or 5 hours a day on a 2-show day.
It is.
Like, do you need to do additional workout?
I think it's a discipline, and so for the first like 5-6 months, I did not work out because I was like committed to the show. And when I do things of this magnitude, because it's one of the hardest shows that I've ever done, and so I wanted to give all my focus and attention to that first before I was like trying to work on myself and doing everything, because I already know how my body is naturally. It'll snap back once I get into the show and get into the full routine. But for like muscle toning and all that, I need to be in the gym. I'm already like a smaller frame, because of the show and losing so much weight and doing so much cardio, that I need to like balance the two and like get in the gym and hit the weights. And so I also think that lifestyle wise, it changes the way I live and I maneuver. I have a lot more energy to do things when I'm up early in the morning to go to the gym. And then now it's fun because I got my workout buddies and everything, and so we have a good time.
So you're not doing more cardio?
No. They're like, let's run on the treadmill. I'm like, no, I do a 2.5 hour show every night. I'm not running.
Have you ever like hidden a Fitbit or some other pedometer on your body to figure out exactly how far you're running?
I want to do that, but I have not. And everyone always suggests it. I may try just now and then get back to you and let you know how that goes.
Yeah, do. Or we'll do a second
because I carry
follow-up interview.
Chapstick in my pocket, so it shouldn't be that hard.
You do?
Oh yeah, I don't like dry lips on stage.
So it's so funny because I've heard several stories of things like this. Jackie Burns, when she was playing Elphaba, she chewed gum every single performance throughout the performance.
Yeah.
Like she'd be up there singing Defying Gravity with a hunk of gum in her cheek.
Yeah.
And she said she couldn't do it without it.
Yeah, and Derek Baskin, he has a lozenge in his mouth because he talks so much. He doesn't want his mouth to get dry, and so he keeps it at the top of his mouth. And then like when there's not scenes that's not about him, he'll go and he'll suck on it, a little bit, and then it'll go back. And so we all have different tricks. Sometimes like I always have candy attacks. And so
what is a candy attack?
So I have this thing with candy. I love candy. And so usually around like act 2, that I'm like, I need candy. And so right before I'm changing for my next scene, either my dresser or my wig girl, her name's Natalie, she'll come and they'll have like, gummy bears, or they'll have like Sour Punch straws or Sour Patch Kids, and I'll just eat them and then I'll finish them off as I'm walking on stage, because I need to have that moment, to get me through. All right, so stage door attendees, take note. Listen, if y'all, is it gummies and Sour Patch Kids, like Sour Patch as opposed Kids, to chocolate? I know no chocolate. Yeah, I like chocolate, but I like Snickers or Scores or like Reese's, but not like true chocolate. Okay. So all sour candy, just gummy worms, gummy bears, trolleys. This is not a plug. This company does not sponsor the podcast, but I'm going to go ahead and give them a plug. You have to try the mini rainbow gummy bears from Dylan's Candy Bar, not the regular size ones. The mini rainbow gummy bears. Okay. There's like 20 different colors, and they all have slightly different, super swirls. What? The swirl ones? No. They're just each one's a different color. Okay. But there's so many different colors, and they're teeny tiny, and
They're my favorite. In fact, here's what I do. I freeze them.
Uh-huh.
And then I put them in a martini glass, and I
on.
pour vodka over them.
Good. Make them drunken gummies.
And then, well, I don't soak them. I
Oh.
just like sip the vodka, and it slowly becomes gummy flavored. And every once in a while, I'll like pick one out, and it's frozen, and it like melts in my mouth, and it's just like the taste of a regular gummy bear, except like a little bit burny.
Uh-huh.
So maybe not on a show day.
Listen,
maybe after a show.
I mean, I can have the equity one on the show day.
Yeah.
So having like 5 or 6 gummies.
I call it a gummy barantini.
Gummy Barantini. Come on now.
Because
New
I
drink.
discovered this / invented it at opening night for Hedwig and the Angry Inch on Broadway, where they had a gummy bear bar.
What?
The opening night party was at Tao, which you know is like a super fancy Asian fusion thing, and they took an entire corner of the restaurant and they turned it into a gummy bear bar that Dylan's Candy Bar did.
That would have been major for me.
You would have been like,
I would have lost my mind.
I know.
I would have left with half the candy in there.
They had us take home gift bags, and I was like, "Where's my backpack?"
Listen,
So
I'm all about that.
And so, Gummibären is how you say gummy bear in German,
Gummibären,
and
okay.
it's a line. It's a reference to a moment in Hedwig where they
Okay.
talk about Gummibären,
Got
and
it.
that's why it's a Gummibärentini. See, you never know what you're going to talk
Look at
about
that.
when you
Look
come
at
into
that. Come
Laura Heywood
on.
interviews. But you know what? At some point, I'll make you one.
Can't wait.
I'll come visit you after the show. We can hang out with James Harkness, who's your co-star, who's like, my mom refers to him as her boyfriend because he flirted with her when she was sitting in the front row at Berkeley Rep.
See, James gonna get in trouble with all this flirting now.
You know what? My mom and my dad have been married for 45 years, and I don't think that they have any illusions. But you know what? If Dad wants to give Mom a hall pass for James Harkness,
Cannot deal with
gosh.
you, Laura.
I think they're listening right now too, which is, you know what? Whatever.
That's hilarious.
I'm a grown up.
That is
They don't have to
hilarious.
listen if it's
Not
going to
a hall
embarrass them.
pass. Oh no. You know what's so funny is adding on to that, during the show, Ephraim, he's singing, and usually he picks someone in the front row.
Mm-hmm.
And so we got this ongoing joke. We're like, he always like reaches to somebody with if they're a couple, he'll reach. I'm like, you are disrespectful.
No.
You're disrespectful. You don't do that. I'm like, why couldn't you get that lady right next to her? Like, why did you have to get that man or woman right there?
Because nothing's going to happen.
But you know what's so funny? One time, the woman held on harder to her man. He went to reach for her, and she was like, held on and just smiled, and she clapped after her. She's like, you're not about to get me in trouble.
So I think that if it was me doing that, it would be on purpose, and here's why.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you reach for someone who's there by themselves or there with girlfriends, they might think that something's going on. Like, they might come to the stage door and be like, you took my hand. Like,
Oh, no.
now it's on. Whereas if you do it to
We
someone...
get that anyway,
Oh,
even if
really?
it's not.
Oh my gosh, tell me stories.
We get that anyway. Like, for me, when I go to the stage door, the main thing is say something in my ear, do my voicemail. How old are you? Are you available? Or I wish you were such and such of age, because then me and you have a whole situation. Like, I can't tell you how many times like older women have come to me. It was like, if you was just a little bit older, I'm like, okay, cool.
And you're like, do I get any say in this?
Right.
Or...
Like, I just got to be older for you to have me. So, okay, cool.
Do you get a lot of like, I want to introduce you to my daughter or my niece?
I've gotten quite a few of those. Like, the mother would be like so excited more than the daughter.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, I brought my mother here. This is her show, blah, 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 blah. And the daughter is like beautiful and gorgeous. And so I'm like, oh, okay, cool. But the mother is like, come here, baby. Like, I'm like, oh, your
Like,
daughter.
Mom, you're so annoying.
Or the daughters are usually so young. I was like, oh, it's so nice to meet you, sweetie. How you doing? Like, no, you're not about to get me. You're not about to get me. I don't want no parts.
I know at least a couple of people who have married fans they've met at the stage door.
Really?
Like 10 years later,
Yeah.
Like they met somebody when they were a kid, because when somebody's, I don't know, say 22 and on Broadway and their biggest fan is 16,
Right.
that's a major age difference.
Absolutely.
But 10 years later, when they're 26
Super
and 32,
grown.
and they're like, oh, I remember you,
Yeah.
and then they strike up a friendship, and There you
super
go.
Grown. It's super grown. And
I hear people are having you like sign their chests and stuff.
Yes, I've gotten chest, I've gotten arms, I've gotten legs. This one guy asked me to sign his stomach. I'm like, I have no clue why I am doing this, but okay. That's whatever makes you happy.
Not take a shower?
I don't know. I think it's just the experience.
I'll tell you, I'm in a bunch of Broadway fan Facebook groups. Most recently, I was very involved with Be More Chill, so I hung out in their fan communities a lot. And the big thing that the kids seem to want is a quote from the show written in the handwriting of the actor who played the role.
Yeah.
Have you been asked to
no,
write
Jeremy
anything out
Pope's
yet?
been asked to do that, though, because the girl got a tattoo or something like that.
Yeah, that's what they want it for.
Oh, bless.
They want to get it tattooed in the handwriting of the actor.
Oh, bless them. Bless their whole heart. I'm not getting nothing inked on me.
Yeah, me neither.
I want more tattoos, but that's...
Oh, yeah, you do have tattoos.
I have two. I have my mother's name on my neck, which is a completely different story. She passed away, and I was like grieving. I was like, I want a tattoo. And then I was like, slap it here on my neck. And then I started working for Disney, and it was like, you have a neck tattoo? Oh, you're going to have to cover that up, or you're not going to be able to work here.
Really?
And then so I would have to wear collared shirts to work. And so with a collared shirt, you can't really tell that it's there.
Were you in Orlando?
Orlando, yeah.
So you're working in Orlando in the like hugely humid, like 110 degree
Wearing
heat. You're like,
collared
I'm
shirts.
just going to wear a turtleneck today.
Wearing collared shirts.
Well, you must have to cover it up for your roles on Broadway.
I don't. I started to, but then when they look at it, they're like, we can't see it from stage, because I'm also, it matches my skin tone. So because I'm darker skinned, it was like, we really can't tell it's there. And some people I've known for the longest time and don't even notice it until I step into the light. Or
Yeah, I hadn't noticed it.
So I'll cover it up, and then, also that's a costume thing too. So then I was like, okay, I can cover it up, but I sweat so much it may rub off. So then you had to think of the makeup rubbing off on the costume, on our white shirts and everything. And so they're like, okay, you don't have to wear it. I'm like, okay, cool. Because you really can't tell it's there.
Yeah, I was sitting in the center of the fifth row,
Yeah.
and I didn't notice it, so I think you're good.
Yeah, I wear collared shirts the whole time in the show anyway, so it's never a time that I would go bare neck.
You wear some really fantastic costumes, specifically this one blue jacket. When they first announced that Melvin's nickname is Blue,
Oh yeah,
you
that
come
blue
out
jacket.
with this strut.
I want in real life. I want that blue jacket in real life.
Well, if your contract comes up for renegotiation, put it in there, because seriously, for example, I don't think this was told to me on the record, so I'm not going to name any specific names.
Nah.
But I will say there have been several Broadway shows in the past few years where the actors have had very notable footwear.
Mm-hmm.
And I know of at least 2 actors who have written into their contracts that they get to take home the shoes.
Oh, good. That's great.
Especially when they're custom made for you. It's like, what are they going to do with them anyway?
Who other foot is going to be in here? Nobody's. Mm-hmm. It's not, Cinderella foot can only fit in her shoe.
And I'm going to say you can make the same case for that jacket.
I surely will. Whoopi, when she said she did movies, I think it was either Elizabeth Taylor that told her. She was like, she had it in her contract that once she does a movie that the studio always sends her a gift or something to commemorate that movie she done. I was like, oh, that's smart. Mm-hmm. And so now she has like a artifact, like a museum of things, which is great. And I was like, noted for when I start my gigs like that.
But can you, as the performer, can you request that, or do you have to be like on the producing side to be able to give it to someone?
No, you can request it. As,
You're like, I'd like my gift from the production
please.
to be. Yeah.
Whatever you want it to be, like a painting or like, whatever. Like, I just think something to show like, oh, I did this to, to remember it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Did you get anything from Motown?
What did we get? We got a lot of stuff from Motown. I never had to ask for it.
Mm-hmm.
We got all what we needed. Berry Gordy was very, very giving. He was very, very giving, and those producers also were too. I loved them, to death, because it was only like 3 producers: Berry Gordy, Kevin McCullum, and Doug Morris. And so we had Beats by Dre headphones for our opening night gifts. We had, what else did we get? We got bracelets, we got shoes, we got night robes, we got hats, we got shirts, we got all kinds of stuff. I'm Motown down at home.
That's
I have so
awesome.
much Perry at home.
Just speaking of amazing outfits that I hope you got to keep, can we talk about the Met Ball for a second?
My goodness.
I thought that the only people who went to the Met Ball were like Lady Gaga and like A-list movie stars that, you can't ever touch. I was not surprised to see Billy Porter there because I feel like he has transcended
His star has
into
rose. He has
fashion
arrived.
icon. But like to see the four, was it
all five.
Yeah,
of
all
us
five
went,
of you were there. To see the five temptations of Broadway in these black and white outfits, like shorts and tails and checkers.
It was a look.
And
It was a
so
look.
how did that come to be? And most importantly, did you get to keep it?
No, we didn't get to keep it. No, we didn't get to keep it. But I didn't want to keep it anyway. I wore a skirt, and I'm like, and there's nothing wrong with wearing skirts. That was the very first time I ever wore one, though. And so it was an experience. And I remember Tom Brown, they dressed us head to toe. And when we were in the fitting, I went through different, like 5, 6, 7 different looks. And so none of them was really hitting the way I wanted to hit, because I was like, it's the Met Gala. I have to do something.
Yeah.
We have to make it memorable. And so she was like, we have this skirt. I was like, I'm from Detroit, and this may not go over well from back home, but let's do it. It's the Met Gala, and can't nobody, like, who else is going to the Met Gala? I'm putting on the skirt. And I put on the skirt. I was like, I like this. Like, I love the way it looked, the way it felt, the way, I was like, it changed the outfit,
Did
in
you
the
get
suit.
any pushback? Like from your hometown? Was anybody like,
I had a few.
you're wearing a skirt?
I had to set up, especially my friends, because they're very supportive, but they are not used to quite like, the friend that they now have, to like this. I don't want to say star, but it is like, I'm on
Baby,
Broadway.
you're a Broadway
I'm a Broadway star now,
And you even have an agent now.
Exactly. And a manager and a publicist and this, I got a whole team. And so, they're now getting used to that side of Jawan. And so I had to tell them, I was like, just so y'all know, so y'all won't be caught off guard, the Met Gala is going to be a look. It's going to be a moment. And so I was like, I'm not going to tell you what it is, but I'm just going to tell y'all it's going to be a moment. And so,
I'm just looking at some pictures right now, and you've got one striped sock, you got a skirt. You look fantastic. The stripes on this jacket. I feel like you could have rocked that jacket again.
Oh yeah, I could. I felt like I could have too. I would definitely wore it, and it was 2 looks. So once you took the jacket off, it turned into another look. It was major. But that happened and it came about is because we did the Vogue issue in February. We did the Vogue spread, and then from then on, Anna Wintour and her daughter B, they came to the show, and I told them the day we found out that Anna was coming, I said, all right, y'all. I said, this is our Met Gala audition. So make sure your hair is together. Make sure your costume's on point. Make sure your vocals, everything is like together, because this is our shot. And, they laughed it off or whatever. And about like, after the show, we met her and Anna, and, she sent us a personal email. So I woke up the next morning, it was from Anna Wintour. She was like, amazing show. Thank you for the experience. I was like, whoa, Anna Wintour is emailing out of somebody now, And so a week later, Jeremy, I was in my dressing room and I was sleeping, and Jeremy, was a knock on the door. I'm like, come in. It's Jeremy Pope. And he says, wake up right now. And I said, well, what is it that you are waking me up out of my sleep for? And he showed me an email, and it was an email inviting us to the Met Gala, and we just hollered and screamed. Yay! I was like, I told you, I told you, I told you. And so from there, it was just like, it was the easiest thing. Like Vogue helped us, get in touch with, Tom Brown and, put his connection with them. And Tom Brown really, really took care of us, great care of us individually and as a group, because they wanted to show our individual style, but also show the cohesiveness as a group. And I think that's what I loved about when we decided that we all were going to go with the same person, because we were a group and we don't want to, no one knew who we were, aside from the Broadway community, aside from the theater community. And so we wanted to make sure that we left a mark on that pink carpet. And, it's history now. It became the biggest moment, of my year.
Can you think back to when you were like 10 years old, singing in the church, thinking maybe you'd be the next Tevin Campbell, that you'd be like posing for Vogue?
No, not at all.
That you were going to be a fashion icon?
Not at all. Not at all. You know what I did know, though, is that I knew I wanted to make it, and I knew I wanted to be where I am today. So that was always the through line. I didn't know how I was going to do it. You know, it's always been a dream. And I remember, like, every year after high school, my last day, I would be walking from 9th grade, walking to graduation. And I always would say, you're going to be a millionaire by 25. You're going to, I would affirm myself every year. And it was like, and, in 3 years, it's going to be you. In 2 years, it's going to be you. And then graduation comes. It was like, it's here, And so I never knew the steps that it took, but I knew where I wanted to, the goal, the end goal. Because I was always taught to dream big, that my mother, God rest her soul, and my family members, they always encouraged me. And anything that I ever wanted to do, I never had pushback from. Mm-hmm. They always supported it, even if it was bad, and I think that's the blessing.
Hang on a second. You just opened the door and I'm going to walk right through it. Ooh. What did you do that was bad?
It was a lot of things that were bad.
They're like, you'd like to, I'm trying to think of something. Like, you'd like to shoplift? Let's do it.
No. I wouldn't be here if that was the case. But I'm saying, like, when I first started off singing, it wasn't good. You had to learn.
Oh, you mean even if you didn't have the skill for it? I thought you meant even if you were being bad.
Oh, absolutely
even
not.
If you
My mama didn't play that. My family did not play that. I have 4 godparents, and both of them, everybody was always on my head. Like, I was the hardest. Like, people say I was spoiled growing up. I say I wasn't. I just say I was very, very blessed and privileged. Mm-hmm. We all have different sides of our childhoods that are good and bad, but I had overall a good childhood. I would say, and like to think, but no, okay. Absolutely not.
I'm glad we clarified because so this actually ties into my favorite topic of everything in the world, including Broadway. Mm-hmm. And that is the idea that there is a difference between being bad at something and being new at it, even if they look the same.
Absolutely.
And I think so often, especially the older we get, we don't try things we're new at because we don't want to look like we're bad at them.
Yeah.
And the fact is, I don't think you ever were a bad singer. You were just new at it.
Exactly.
And, we can try, if we do something for, 20 years and we still can't manage to sink a layup, maybe we're bad at basketball.
Maybe you're bad at it.
But you can't know until you've put all the work in.
I agree.
Even if you never get great, you'll still be better than you were when you started.
Absolutely. Me with dancing.
Well, okay, yeah. So, you auditioned, it was for Motown, right?
Uh-huh.
And you showed up for the dance call in sandals.
No, it was Timberlands.
Oh,
I was in
work
Timberland boots? I was in boots.
I somehow was picturing, I think, Tevas. I knew it started with a T. So you're there in work boots, even worse.
Laura. I was in Timberlands. And back then, 7 years ago, I was a completely different Jawan, so I wore the biggest clothes. Everything was like 4 or 5 sizes too big on me, from my shirts to my pants to anything. And so I was in Timberlands in some Jabot jeans, blue jeans, and like a button-up T-shirt with a vest. Did you show up
and everybody else is in like yoga pants? And
yes, they were like stretch pants and like crop top shirts, and like I'm like, what's happening? What's about to happen? Did not know the proper protocol of an audition. I just thought I flew out here to sing like I had been doing.
So you'd gone through a series of auditions in Detroit?
I did. I went through a series of 3 auditions. I went to the open call, and then from the open call, I sent in a video submission, and then from the video submission, I came and I auditioned in Studio A at the Motown Museum.
Wow.
Which was insane, and I didn't take it all in at the moment because I was like, I took Motown, the museum, for granted.
Because had you been there a bunch?
No, I'd never been there. That was the first time I'd stepped foot into the museum. And the thing is, it's kind of like with the Statue of Liberty here in New York. New Yorkers don't go to the Statue of Liberty. Same with Motown, the museum. Mm-hmm. I used to drive past that to go to work every day. I saw it. I just never went inside. And so that was the very first time that I stepped in, was to audition for Motown.
Okay, I want to go down 2 different roads here.
Okay.
One, going to an open call and ending up on Broadway is like the dream of all dreams. It never happens.
Listen.
Second of all, the Motown Museum, you have a very special personal piece of that museum that you carry around with you.
Yeah.
Can you tell people about that?
Of course. So Melvin's wife gave me Melvin's Motown identification card that he had, and she gave me a big version that I carry on my book bag, another one of my book bags, and then I have the card, the small wallet size version, and it's so funny. He and I, every time I look at it, I'm like, this smile is so similar. He's just full of joy and full of light and just like so much love. And she gave me that, and I carry it with me everywhere. So
it's an ID card that says like he can get into the museum
basically
for free?
Where it expires, like, kind of, because Motown was open 24/7. And so you had to, belong there in order to get in.
Oh,
and
yeah,
so
like
just
a badge.
Kind of like a badge.
Oh, got it. So the Motown Museum, forgive me, I've never been there. It is the actual Motown Studios.
Yes.
And so it wasn't a museum when he had that.
No, it
ID
was the
badge,
actual Motown
but now it's the
record
museum.
label. Yes.
Got it. I think that's really special, and I'm just looking at some pictures of him, and you're right. You do both have these infectious smiles.
In every picture, he's gonna smile, and if you see Melvin not smiling at anything, you should be worried, because he's never not smiling.
Does that put pressure on you to always have a smile on your face?
Absolutely not. I am joyous. I try to be, and I think joy is effective and contagious. And so when you smile and when you are happy, you can't help but to, put that out there and return it back, even if you're in the worst mood. I always say, when you're mad, just say 5 things you're grateful for. And if you're still upset, then you are, it's a problem. Something's wrong.
I am so glad that you said that and that we have found each other, because I went through a period of my life, like a year, where I was focused on figuring out what my purpose was.
Right.
It was sort of related to like, oh
Similar.
my God, I'm still single. Maybe I'm not going to have kids. What is that? What's my role on this planet going to be? Sort of like a crisis of faith or an identity crisis. And I wrote a mission statement, and I edited it, and I consolidated it, and I rewrote it. And at the end of a year, I came up with what my purpose on the planet is, and it is to spread joy through contagious enthusiasm. Yeah. Which is exactly what you just said.
See? Listen, you put it out there, come right back. This is divine.
Then it also reminds me of a tweet that I wrote once that I'm going to find. Okay. I wrote this on August 18th, 2018. Oh my gosh, that was a year ago yesterday. Here's a secret about depression it took me a long time to learn. Even if you're unable to lift your own spirits, you may still have the tools to bring joy to others. Focus on that, and you could be surprised by a whisper of happiness, the satisfaction of making another person smile.
Absolutely, because when you inhale and then exhale, it's going to feel so good because you made somebody else happy.
Yeah.
I think that our job is to make sure we make the most out of our dash, the in between from our birth to when we leave out of here. And so I think that is part of our purpose, is to spread joy and pass it forward. And so, good for you.
Who did you get the dash from? Did you make that up?
My friend Anthony Brown, who's a gospel singer, he was like, I just want to make sure that while I'm on earth, my dash is what's being talked about. Not when I was born, not when I died, but the in-between time of my life.
I think that's such a beautiful
symbol. Absolutely. It's so, when he said that, everything changed. Because I was like, the way of life that I'm living, I'm like, I want to make impacts like that, And so it's so great. It's so great.
Oh my gosh, I have goosebumps, and I'm totally taking that with me. I've been for like 3 years. I've been trying to work on a book, and I feel like I'm going to write a chapter that's like the dash.
The dash.
Because when I picture what a dash is, it connects things. So it's like it connects me and you, and it's also like anything that's a line, like it's a tightrope that you have to navigate, and I don't know. It's like so evocative.
It's so
to me.
much within that.
And I will give you credit, and I'll listen back and make sure that I get the name of the gospel singer who gave it to you,
Anthony Brown.
I love the dash. Also, if you ever have a podcast, especially a podcast about joy, you've got to call it The Dash with Jawan M. Jackson.
Will.
So you had all these dreams, and you concentrated every day, every morning. You'd be like, in 3 years, in 2 years, here we are. Then all your dreams came true at once.
Yes.
In fact, the story of you getting woken up from your nap to celebrate the Met Gala reminds me of the story you tell about waking up your sleeping roommate when you found out you were going to Broadway.
Exactly.
You were like, I don't care that you're asleep.
I don't care. You
We're
just got
gonna
off of work.
party."
I do not care.
So you went to Broadway, and then you did 2.5 years in Motown, and then what?
And then the show closed, right? And so for people who are trying to make it on the Broadway, we think that, once you make it on Broadway, all the doors of opportunity and all the doors of life and everything, accessibility, they will all just open. And everything would be flooded to you and fall in your lap. No one told me the after. No one told me about what I have to do with, now the show's closing. What are you doing? Or you got your closing notice, start looking for something else. I did none of that. And so because I was new to the business, I had a hard crash course of, figuring out how to survive in between your Broadway show where you were just on top of and everybody was saying your name and you was getting all kinds of recognition to now nobody cares. Or the residual of, I did see the show. You were good in it, and you had the residual love from that, which, gave you a little lift, but no one, I had no instructions, no anything. And so what I started doing was like auditioning and then, trying to figure out what that's like, trying to be an unemployed performer, trying to get my next gig.
And you were in New York City for the first time. It's
I was.
Different than when you're living at home and going to open calls with like on a wing and a prayer because it would be fun and it's a long shot, but hey, who knows?
Exactly.
Low stakes. But once you're in New York, you've got a Broadway credit, but you don't have a lot of other connections because you've like never been seen by a New York casting director before.
Exactly.
And you have New York rent to pay.
Exactly.
And I bet everywhere you go, people are like, I loved you in Motown. What are you doing next?
Exactly.
And you have to be
and
like,
that's that pressure. Then you're getting that pressure on yourself. And there's all these different pressures coming from everywhere else. But I always tell young folks that I speak to, I'm like, preparation meets. When preparation meets opportunity, you always need to be prepared for it. And so with that being said, before I moved to New York, I knew I wanted to live out here, but I wouldn't move without a job and without doing the necessary things, the steps prior to, what that means. So saving money. So I had a little, nest egg to sit on after Motown closed, which is I'm so thankful for about. And also thankful for my grandfather because he helps me manage my finances. And so I was able to survive and live off of my savings. And, that's not always the story, and so I was also able to pay my rent. I was never late on my rent because of it, because of the tools that my grandfather and people that helped me do. And then also I learned to figure out how to audition, what to go to. And Dule Hill always told me when we first met, who was like one of my biggest like supporters, and I love him so much. He's a great mentor. He's a great friend.
Incredible tap dancer.
Incredible tap dancer. Now
Plus,
he's a new daddy.
If people have not watched Psych, like binge that immediately.
Favorite TV show, hands down. And so he told me, which also put a little pressure on me, but it put a lot of stuff in perspective. He says, now that you're in Motown, he's like, this show is about to close. So now you have to figure out what it is that you actually want to do. Do you want to be in this industry for the money? Do you want to be in it for the art? Or, you got to figure out because those are two separate paths. And so every role that's available, you should not take, because if it doesn't put you to your next step or where you want to be, it's not good for you. And you're just wasting time. And so that really rang a bell in my head. Oh, somebody agrees, I guess.
That was hilarious. That's the DNR Studios doorbell, and for some reason it gets amplified into the studio. I don't know why it's designed like that, but the timing of that is like the funniest thing that's ever happened.
It's like, all right, I agree with that. And so now, like, making sure that Ain't Too Proud, I know where I wanted to be. I wanted to be a lead performer on Broadway. I was an ensemble, but I knew that I had the potential to lead and be a principal. And so I was taking roles and doing things that prepared me for that. I started taking dance classes. I started taking acting classes. I started in my spare time when I wasn't working, making sure that I was still training, because I didn't want an opportunity to come and I wasn't prepared for it, and that's one of the biggest mistakes that some people can make, is that they're not prepared. They're saying, oh, I want to do this. I want to be this person. I want to, get this job. I want to look, this good. But when it's all said and done, they're not preparing for it. And when the opportunity comes, you miss out on it because you weren't ready. And I didn't ever want to be caught with my pants down. Ever.
It's very much like an athlete in the off season.
Absolutely.
You don't just rest for.
Colin Kaepernick is been out of the league for how long? Almost 900 days, he says, or something like that. But every day at 5 a.m. he gets up and he's still training. And I'm like, that's discipline unlike any other, And on top of all the other stuff he's doing, he's such a great guy. We had the opportunity to meet at the Hot 107, WBLS Hot Summer Jams this summer, and we just had probably a 45-minute conversation with him. And the things that he's doing and the type of person he is, I'm just like, whatever you are doing, I want to support or give myself, to you, to your cause, because I actually believe in all of this, and what you're doing and what's being happened to you is an injustice.
Yeah. What he is demonstrating is the perfect example of what feeds your wallet does not necessarily feed your soul.
Absolutely.
And there is a man who prioritized his soul.
Absolutely.
And
we need more like him.
Absolutely. And, being from San Francisco, I'm especially proud of his ties to that city. And, I feel like, I'm from Oakland, but the Niners were my team, and I'm disappointed in the team.
Yeah.
But I'm a Cap girl all the way.
I'm with Cap.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah, I was going to say, I hope you knelt at his feet, and then I thought maybe the pun would be too much. But even if kneeling wasn't Colin Kaepernick's thing, even if he had taken a different protest form, I would still say kneel at his feet, because he's great. He's such a great
We did
guy.
sing "Ain't Too Proud" to him, though.
You did.
We did.
Good.
He had like a mini. Kaepernick got a mini concert from the Temps before the Tonys, before everything. So it was great. It was great.
Some people just get it.
Yeah, you have to give it to him. You're like, we had just finished the show. It was like, it's Colin Kaepernick. Go ahead, sing.
I want to get him on this show. I did get to interview Joe Montana.
Really? How was that?
It was good. He was talking about a heart medication, I want to say, and so he was very much on script.
Okay.
But I got him to talk about some good football moments from my youth that I remember. I was a sports talk radio personality.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that.
Before coming to New York, and so a lot of people, I think in the same way people want to talk to you about your voice, people want to talk to me about Broadway.
Yeah.
And, it's a huge part of who I am. But sometimes I just want to break down the batting lineup, or whatever it is.
You never leave it. I feel like it's always going to be a part of you once you start. It's in your DNA now. It's in your DNA.
What's your favorite part of going to work every day or being at work every day? Is it the gummies?
Oh, the gummy, the candy. Well, my Amazon Prime orders that are being shipped to the theater. I go there like, ooh, I get presents. Yeah. I come there excited because I know something's coming. But I get joy coming to work just knowing that I get to do a show about 5 extraordinary men who gave to the world, and the joy that they brought to people and the masses, and having people come, knowing that they're coming to see their favorite Temptation or see the Temptations. It's just so much. I get so much enthusiasm, and I get, like a charge for being able to do my art, making a living off of it, and loving what I love, doing what I love to do.
Do you, how do you handle the physicalization of aging from being a teenager to an old man throughout the show? Do you have is it posture? Is it voice? Is it just costumes? I feel like I really physically watch you age, but obviously you're only two and a half hours older at the end of the show.
Exactly. I think it's a couple. It's subtleties. It's a way, yes, it's physical, movements during the act 2, he gets arthritis, and so you'll catch me rubbing my hand a little bit more, or rubbing my knee, just like subtle things. With the top of playing younger Melvin, it's just energy. It's a higher energy. Youth. You have so much, vigor for life, and so much, and he had that towards the end. But in order to display it and see the difference, like, you kind of got to pull back a lot, and talk a little slower. I find that older people, they always talk slower when they want to get you to understand them. But young people, we talk so fast, and we don't, and so it's just those things that I've learned from my grandparents or in people I've seen. And, Melvin is a version of himself, of course, but also my grandfather, who I call my grandfather. He's really my step granddad from my mother's side. His name was Jesse, and he and Melvin, to me, were the same person, except he talked really slow like this. So it's like, why not merge the two and pay homage to him too?
Is this the same grandfather who you were the best man at his wedding?
No, that was my father's father.
Got it.
And he came here a couple of weeks ago, he and his wife, and they're still doing good.
Yeah, good.
The only thing I tell people often, I'm like, I lost my best friend on that, because now every time I call him, if I'm talking to him, like, well, Papa, can't you, come visit me in New York? Like, well, I got to ask my wife. I'm like, shoot, like, okay, see if it's okay.
I mean, you did kind of give him away at his wedding, didn't you?
And I was in my feelings about it. I was legit in my feelings, because up until that point, like, my grandmother died in 2009, and it was sad. She died of cancer, and after she died, like, we made sure we, like, huddled around him to make sure he's okay, because usually, in some marriages, when you lasted so long and they've been together so long, you kind of get like spousal that thing going on, and we did not want that to happen. So me and my sisters, we rallied around him, and we made sure, like, we brought joy and light and just, like, loved on him. And so from that process, he and I got really, 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 really closer. And he found his current wife at our church. We all go to the same church, and I was happy that he found love, but I was still like, oh.
I'm supposed to be your best friend, Papa.
Exactly. And see, if I had a hard time, my sisters had a harder time.
Yeah.
Because, and I tell them all the time, my grandfather has favorites, and and his favorite is my sister, my oldest sister. I'm my mother's favorite, and he's her. That's their pick. And so, she had it the hardest when he got married, when, Joanne, which is his wife, when she would do, say things. And I was like, listen, that man is grown now. He's about to get married. You got to get over it. You are not his woman. You can't do for him what she can do for him.
You know what? I think you need to think about it like you haven't lost a grandfather. You've gained a grandmother.
You gain one. And she's so great. She adds so much more to our family now. And so that's what I love. And I love her even more for loving him. That's just so great.
You are a family guy.
Absolutely.
And I know that you have a special place in your heart for kids, and you've done a lot to support kids and their dreams, especially dreams in the arts. And I close every show by inviting my guests to bring awareness to a charity of their choice. And you chose one that I have a history with too. Ooh. So I'm very excited. We have about 4 minutes left, and I want to spend that.
So fun.
It's gone by fast, right?
It has.
Good. Well, I'm glad it did. I'm glad you had fun. It's all I want from this show is to just have a real human conversation with somebody that I've seen in sort of a superhuman format on the stage. Let's talk about
Rosie's Theater Kids.
Rosie's Theater Kids, which is an incredible New York-based long-term program for children interested in the arts. Tell me what it means to you.
It means so much more. I am so thankful for Rosie's Theater Kids, because they're providing outlets to children who don't have that the arts and who want to get into performing, and they're keeping it alive through, performers like us and people like us who come and volunteer and give their time and give their services and make sure that we're pouring into the lives of kids, who want to be into musical theater, who want to be in drama, who want to be in music, who want to be in dancing, everything. And I think it's a great program, and they are running the most beautiful ship that I've ever seen. When you go there, all the kids greet you with, hello and a firm handshake, and they're teaching life lessons and life things that they'll carry on outside of just entertainment or whatever. They're showing and teaching them everything. And so I'm just so appreciative of them. And if you have a chance, please check them out. Everyone listening.
rosiestheaterkids.org is the website. And they're very active in New York City public schools, specifically Title I schools, where a lot of arts programs have been cut.
Yeah,
and
that's the first thing to go cut.
As opposed to a program that goes in for a day or a week, or even a year, Rosie's Theater Kids provides a home for these kids for 4 years throughout their high school experience. And I think even before and after, they provide programs as well.
With mentorship programs, too, as well.
Yeah, and they do a lot of academic work with the kids, too. It's not just singing, dancing, and acting.
Full over-rounded program.
And they refer to themselves as an organization that is like a caring stage mother. And I think that that's lovely. And I think the word caring is very important, because stage mothers can be nasty, but not Rosie's Theater Kids.
You said it.
Yeah, well, I'm saying they are the right kind. They're like we're going to make sure you get those lessons in.
Absolutely.
But you're also going to get your high school diploma.
Absolutely.
And
school comes first, education first, because kids, they cannot take that away from you. So get your education.
I am going to make a donation today to Rosie's Theater Kids in your honor, Jawan.
Oh, is that right? Well, I may have to double that.
Really?
And make one too.
That's amazing.
Come on.
All right. Well, maybe I'll have to donate more than I was planning to, just so you can. This is my belief. I believe that, every dollar counts, and, we may not have a lot of extra money lying around, but we have a couple of dollars, every single one of us. We'll skip our Starbucks today. And my signature phrase is a whole bunch of drops in the bucket can make a big splash. So if everyone listening donates a few bucks to rosiestheaterkids.org today,
please.
We will change lives in a major way. Go see Jawan Jackson performing in Ain't Too Proud, The Life and Times of the Temptations at the Imperial Theater. Tickets are on sale until June 2020 already.
Get them.
AintTooProudBroadway.com. Thank you, Jawan M. Jackson.
Oh, it's such a pleasure. Thank you.